listening to my students on what works and what doesn't. Because I may think of something that's a great idea in my mind, and then I go to apply it, and they're like, no, this is a complete waste of time. And there are those instructors who are so set on, no, we're going to do what I set forth, and then the students reject and rebel. Yeah. But if you listen to your students and gain their trust and show that you're taking to heart what it is that they're telling you, then you're going to get more engagement, they're going to get more involved, and they're going to learn more at the end of the day.
San Diego 911 emergency. You need to come right away. There's a man with a gun and it's loaded. Receiving emergency signal from 4 George 1141. We've got a white female down. We need paramedics code please. All available units will code that
way. Welcome to the De-Escalation Conversations Podcast. With me today is a really cool person. His name is Garret Shields. Originally from Southern California, Garrett's been in EMS for 16 years, spending the last 11 as a firefighter-paramedic with Fairfax County Fire and Rescue. During this time, he also worked part-time in the emergency room at Children's National Medical Center in Washington, D.C. for several years. He co-created his department's in-house EMT program, which achieved a 100% pass rate during his tenure, and it's produced several paramedics from his students. In his spare time, he also volunteers on the board of directors for Pay It Forward 9/11, which is a 9/11 nonprofit organization. This interview is done live on the expo floor in the Wellness Hub, which was sponsored by AT&T at EMS World 2025. You're really going to enjoy hearing from Garret, his insights into training and how it all fits into leadership and the EMS world and the first responder world as a whole. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the De-Escalation Conversations Podcast. We are live today at EMS World 2025 in Indianapolis, Indiana. And with me today is a really, really cool guy. I've just introduced him to you, and today we're going to be talking, Garret, about what you're doing here at the conference. So you're speaking, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And with your experience as a firefighter, just everything that you've done, you have a broad range. You've worked at the Children's Medical Center?
Children's National Medical Center in Washington.
In Washington, D.C. You had to have just that time that you had there. I know I was an ER tech for a number of years, and I know the number of things that you see come through there had to be just both mind-boggling as well as professionally really helpful, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what are you speaking about this year?
So I'll be speaking on a model called the flipped classroom for EMS education. Essentially, we all are used to the traditional way of classroom education where you come in and you just get lectured to for an hour or so, and you're scribbling down notes and then you don't really remember anything. And then you have to, at least for EMS education, you get a very small amount of window time to do skills, activities, learning hands-on. It's a lot of just note scribbling, and then how much of that information do your students actually remember? So in the flipped classroom model, we give the information to students beforehand. So they go online, they either listen to a pre-recorded lecture, like they'll do some online learning activities. There's various platforms that offer it. And then when they come into the classroom, we reinforce what they learned and fill in the knowledge gaps with mini lectures or hands-on activities. But it gives us a much greater amount of time in the classroom to do hands-on activities to really get them to a higher cognitive level of learning.
Which makes total sense.
Yes, and the problem is when we first did it in my fire department, we had a lot of, we'll call it mistakes and errors that resulted in a lot of failures. And then I figured out what was wrong, and then for the classes moving forward, I was able to go from a failure rate of about 14% to 0%. I taught the first class ever that had no failures, all passed the final exam, and then all passed National Registry on their first attempt. And so I took all the things that I learned and I put it into presentation that I'll be giving tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Very, very cool. So that's just an example, folks, of if you come to the EMS World
conference, in this case it'd be 2026, all of the cool people that you get to meet, then you get to learn from, because I would imagine that those lessons learned, you worked hard.
Yes.
And then still had people failing, and then you worked hard, you figured out what was working, what wasn't working, how to replicate it each time from then on.
Yes.
Folks, this man here is going to be saving you tons of time and work and effort. That's the sort of thing you get here at the conference.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. As an instructor with this whole flipped classroom, so just, I'll put a pause in that question for just a minute. So we teach Brain-Centric design for our instructors. And Brain-Centric design is, how do you activate all 4 lobes of the brain?
Yes.
Because normally, if it's just a lecture, you're activating 1 lobe.
Right.
If you have a PowerPoint and some audios and some videos, you might be activating 2. How do you activate all 4 lobes of the brain so the entire brain is turned on during instruction, so the students can best learn and deeply understand that material? Because if they're an EMT, we want them to deeply understand the material, because they might be treating us.
Exactly.
So what you're doing with the flipped classroom is right in alignment with the Brain-Centric design approach. You're bringing in their knowledge, their expertise. You're having the discussions with them. You're figuring out where the knowledge gaps are. How did you come to learn that? Because I know what my path was for learning BCD and helping BCD develop. What was your path?
So I co-created our fire department's in-house in-house EMT course with Lieutenant Dwayne Tenney, who's here at EMS World over at the Clinical Challenge. He is an educator, I don't want to say by trade because he was paramedic, beforehand, but he spent a lot of time in education before I got into it, and he brought me on board as lead instructor because he's program manager, and he introduced this concept to me, and I was like, never heard of it. I had to understand how it worked, and then on top of all that, we did this in 2020, right in the middle of COVID. So it added an extra layer of complication because we started out with our full class, but then we had to split them up into smaller rooms. So I didn't ever get all 40 students all in one space after the second week. So I had to learn a lot of things on my own. He kind of guided, we came up with lesson plans. Unfortunately, we both caught COVID. He'll blame me, I'll blame him, the morning of Thanksgiving. And he wasn't able to come back because he was really sick. So I was left to figure things out on my own. I would contact him from time to time, but he was really sick. So I was kind of left coming up with the curriculum moving forward. So it was a lot of trial and error. It was doing a lot of my own research, talking with other people who are familiar with the flipped classroom. Heather Davis from UCLA, if you're familiar with her. She was my initial paramedic instructor at UCLA back in 2011. So she is a colleague that I reach out to often for a lot of things. So it's a combination of a lot of stuff. Also, listening to my students on what works and what doesn't. Because I may think of something that's a great idea in my mind, and then I go to apply it, and they're like, no, this is a complete waste of time. And there are those instructors who are so set on, no, we're going to do what I set forth, and then the students reject and rebel. Yeah. But if you listen to your students and gain their trust and show that you're taking to heart what it is that they're telling you, then you're going to get more engagement, they're going to get more involved, and they're going to learn more at the end of the day.
Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
One of the things that we teach at IDEA is that everybody in this world has an addiction, and the addiction is the same for each and every person, and that addiction is to be understood.
Yes.
So when you as an instructor can make your students feel understood, there's automatically going to be a rapport, a greater connection. It's going to reduce the fear response of their brain, which will open their brain up for learning. So exactly what you're doing in your model of your flipped classroom is, again, right along the lines of how do we turn the whole brain on and open it up for learning.
This works in continuing education too, which is a whole different approach, but you can still apply the same lessons and model to continuing education, because the provider who's been in for 5, 6, 10, 15 years is not going to be the same as that brand new EMT just out of whatever previous job that they experienced. And you have to tailor things totally differently and really get their buy-in, because everyone's got different motivating factors, right? The EMT student wants to pass because this is new for them. The continuing education, they're doing this because they have to. And we've all seen it, I'm sure you have as well, the continuing education classes where they come in and it's dry, it's boring, they just want to get in and get out and they retain nothing. And that is a complete waste of time. So I teach continuing education in my fire department now as well. And I've applied those same models. Right now we're teaching pediatric CPR and involving hands heavy, if you're familiar with the hands heavy platform. So I had to figure out, how do I reach my 20-year firefighter who doesn't like doing EMS? And those principles all apply still.
Yeah, and there's still going to be knowledge gaps,
Yes.
either because of changes in protocols,
Yeah.
or stuff that they forgot, or maybe they never learned and it's just slipped through, that gap has slipped through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can have a gap slip through a crack, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, oh, I get it.
And the trainings that they've gone to, the refresher update trainings, the recertification trainings, that issue just was never addressed. And now you've got a 5, 7, 20-year EMT or firefighter who's thinking to themselves, I should know that. Mm-hmm. I'm embarrassed now that I don't. How, being able to still fill in that knowledge gap, and your model.
You can't approach continuing education with adults in the same way that you do it with EMT students, right? Because everyone learns differently. They all, like I said, have different motivating factors. So you have to really get the buy-in from doing continuing education on why it's important for them, right? Why should they learn this new thing when they've been doing the same thing and it's been working for them over the years, but that's really not our best practice, right? So sometimes you do have to get a little bit, we'll say, on a personal level. Like right now with our pediatric CPR, we use hand heavy, and I don't get paid by hand heavy, so this is not an endorsement by any means, but our utilization of the CPR assist within hand heavy is really low. And so right now I'm looking at my students right in the face, because I get about 40 at a time in continuing education. I say, okay, who has kids in here? And then I tell them about our CPR statistics and our usage with hand heavy, and I say, okay, hypothetically speaking, and I hope it never happens, but what if your kid goes into cardiac arrest and you find out that they have a tool or there was some knowledge that they were supposed to have and they didn't use it? How would that make you feel as a parent? And I've gotten so much buy-in. I mean, it's a really sombering moment in that time, but I've had captains, 20-year captains, come up to me afterward and say, you actually hooked me, because I made that personal connection with them, versus taking a packaged lesson and saying this is the click-through online stuff. So it takes more work, but it's worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. Well, it could be because your goal is to make the time you spend in the classroom as valuable as possible.
Yeah.
And the time that your students spend in the classroom as valuable as possible.
Absolutely, because we're limited with our time. We don't have all the time in the world, so you have to make the most out of it.
Yeah, the continuing education it's so critical. At the same time, we never have enough of it.
Yeah.
And when you feel like you're a hostage in a classroom,
that's
nobody has a good time then, and their brain shuts down. And so being able to take them out of that hostage mode is really critical.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. I have actually have a gift for you.
Oh.
I'd like to present you with a challenge coin, which you'll notice has the fire and medical symbol right there,
Awesome.
as well as a cool little 3D globe, which is, since our website's theidea.world, is appropriate. So thank you for
you
being
so much
on the
for
show.
having me.
I really appreciate it. Been an awesome guest. I look forward to talking to you more in the future.
Absolutely.
Folks, check out EMS World.
Absolutely.
Support your local firefighters and medics and the wonderful work that they're doing. And as my favorite Sergeant Jim Reschke always used to say, and I adopted, stay safe, follow the golden rule, do unto others before they can even think about doing unto you. Bye for now. You found a lot of great value in this episode of the De-Escalation Conversations podcast. Please be sure to go out to our website, theidea.world, THEIDEA.world. On that website, just click on the link
that resonates with you most. If you're a K through 12 educator, if you're a firefighter, medical services, law enforcement, flight attendants, whatever industry you're in, we have specialized training for you. So check that training out, because literally it can save your life, it can save your relationship, it can save your career. So check out theidea.world. I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. This is Kerry Mensior, and thanks for watching this episode of the De-Escalation Conversations Podcast. I hope you got some great insights that you can use right away. But don't stop here. Click that video link above and keep the momentum going with another powerful episode. And hey, if you haven't already, please hit that like button and the subscribe bell so you never miss an episode. New strategies, new stories, and new ways to connect coming your way every week. See you in the next episode.